In today's video, I'm going to try to answer an important question I've been asking myself for a long time. You may have asked yourself the same question as well. That is whether a set of 285 or 295 tires will fit on a 5th generation 4Runner without significant modifications. Now, there are a lot of factors that you've got to consider, including the height of the vehicle, the wheels that you've got, whether they are a 0 offset, a negative offset, a positive offset. It's possible that the trim package that you've got in your 4Runner may affect things. I'm not really certain on that. And then also 2-wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive is an important factor. Mine is a 2017 SR5. I've also got the 3rd row seat in the rear, which adds a little bit of weight, and so that may affect the ride height at the rear. I don't think it would really affect things at the front, but worth noting. The wheels that we're going to be using for today's install for both the 285s and the 295s have a -10 offset, so that's an important factor. I've also completed a body mount chop in anticipation of putting a larger set of wheels and tires on, so that's going to change your results a little bit here depending on whether you've completed that or not. Now, the wheels and tires that I've been running on the 4Runner for the last couple years, we've got a set of Goodyear Wrangler Ultra Train ATs in the stock tire size. That's a 265/70 r17, and then I've got a set of FN FX Pro wheels. These are the stock tire size, so no modifications needed obviously to run these. You can see what they look like on the rear of the vehicle here. And then on my FJ Cruiser, I've got a set of Goodyear Wrangler Duratrax, a 295/70 r17 sitting on Stealth Custom Series, again 17-inch wheels. These are the SR8s. And I stole the spare wheel and tire for the install on the 4Runner. And then I've got a set of 285s on the Tacoma, so we'll get to that next. So the wheels and tires are installed here. Again, I mentioned that I've completed the body mount chop. If you're not familiar with a body mount chop, this is your body mount down here. This sticks out a little bit further generally, and on mine it's been cut back to give more clearance. So we've got clearance here for the body mount chop. If you have not completed that, the 295s will absolutely rub there, so that would be an issue. And then you're going to see that we've got some rubbing with the inner fender liner here as well, so we don't really have the clearance. Another thing that's worth noting is that the suspension isn't flexed right now, so if this wheel and tire were elevated right now, imagine this whole thing pushing up. You're going to see that we're really going to be impacting this inner fender liner. So obviously the body mount chop gives us the clearance that we need here. We should be good there even if it's flexing, but you're going to need to do some trimming of this inner fender liner. And then we'll rotate this out just a little bit and see what it looks here on the fender as well. All right, so with the wheel and tire turned a little bit less sharp, you can see we're actually in pretty good shape here as well. Again, it's a little hard to say if this were flexed up, if that becomes an issue. I would say that most likely it probably would be a good idea to trim just a little bit of this back, and then obviously the inner fender liner there is going to need to be changed as well. We're now going to turn the wheel and tire the other direction to see what we've got going on up here on the front. All right, with this turned just so slightly, you can see that so far we're in good shape here. It is starting to get a little bit close, and again, with that flexed, it might be a little bit more problematic, but we're in pretty good shape overall. We'll turn that a little sharper. And now with this fully locked to the left side, you'll see we've got some pretty good rubbing going on now. So obviously this would need to be cut pretty significantly to make that work. And again, this inner fender liner is a problem as well. So definitely can't drive the vehicle in this condition without some significant cutting first. And then obviously if we were to do the same thing on the driver's side, we're gonna have the same problems there. So short answer is 295s do not work without some significant modifications. Obviously you're gonna need to do the body mount chop. You need to do some trimming at the back and the front, and then probably cut out some of that inner fender liner as well to make this work. All right, so we've got the 285s on now. These are a 285/70 r17, again, Goodyear Duratrax tires. We've got them on the VTX Rogue wheels, which have a -10 offset. Now, we were good on the body mount chop with the 295s, so not surprisingly, we're good here with the 285s as well. Plenty of clearance there. I can tell you from experience that if you don't have the body mount chop, these 285s with the -10 offset are not going to fit. With that, let's turn them a little bit less gradual and see if we've got any rubbing at the fender here. All right, so we got the 285s turned a little less gradual now, and you can see we are actually in good shape here in terms of clearance. Again, we don't know how this is going to change as the tires are flexing, but I think we're in pretty good shape. I think that's why 285s are so much more popular than 295s with the 4Runner. You're going to have a little bit easier time certainly getting these to fit than you would with the 295s. With that, let's turn the tires the other direction and see how we look at the front. All right, so now we've got the 285s turned all the way to the left, and you can see that once again we've got some pretty good rubbing going on here, just like we saw with the 295s. It's going to require some cutting on the fender here, and then we're also rubbing on the inner liner. Once again, as the tires or the suspension is flexing, we're going to be rubbing inside as well. So that's only going to get worse in those situations where this suspension has to compress. Let's turn it a little bit less gradual and see how we're looking kind of in this section. All right, with the wheel turned a little bit less sharp, you can see now we aren't rubbing, although it's still a little bit tight in terms of clearance. I think we're going to be pretty good here. Again, once this compresses, we're probably going to be rubbing on the liner. Looks like we've got clearance for the fender itself. So obviously we're going to be cutting and trimming to get that clearance when it's fully locked. So this scenario is not going to be an issue as long as you can get the scenario fixed on the inside there. So there you go. That's a look at the 5th generation 4Runner with a set of 285 and 295 tires. Unfortunately, they don't fit quite as easily as we would like for them to, and you're probably going to be looking at some modifications to get them to fit. This, of course, does vary depending on whether you've got a lift kit on your vehicle, whether you've got a body mount chop or not, what type of wheel you're using, whether it's got a 0 offset, a negative offset, or a positive offset. And then we do see some variances between various tire manufacturers. So a lot of variables to consider, but hopefully this video is helpful. If you want to avoid some pretty significant modifications, you might want to go the route that I did originally with just a nice set of all-terrain tires. Again, I had the Goodyear Wrangler Ultra Terrain ATs. Very pleased with those. Excellent traction, less of an impact on fuel economy. Still really gives the vehicle a nice beefy look. Not as good as a 285 or 295 would though. So got to kind of weigh those various options. I'm currently in the process of making this decision myself. I want to go with a larger tire, so I'm debating between the 285s or the 295s. Love to get your input in the section below. If you've gone with an oversized tire on your 4Runner, love to get your comments down there to help myself as well as other viewers. Let us know what kind of wheel you've got, what that offset is, tire size, whether you had to do a body mount chop, whether you lifted it, what kind of modifications you had to make to prevent rubbing. If you guys enjoyed today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and for more 5th generation 4Runner videos, be sure to subscribe. In the meantime, thanks for watching.